welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia, and today I have my 10 most reread novels in my life. All right, so this has kind of been going around the booktube sphere, and it was something. I am a chronic rereader. I love to reread books that I know I am going to love and that comfort me. And so I thought this is the perfect video for me to do. I don't think it's been turned into a tag or anything, but I will put a couple of videos down in the description box that I have watched that have done this. So let's get started. The first one on my list, and the one, I think it's the only one I don't own, is Dune by Frank Herbert. I have reread Dune now about 12 or 13 times. It is a book that I read for the first time when I was about 12 years old, 13 maybe, and I fell in love with it. There were so many things about it that I loved, but it has been one of those books that I have just returned to year after year, sometimes more than once a year. I will reread Dune. That's how much I like it. So yes, Dune is the most reread novel on my list. Okay, then we have Jane Eyre. You can see I have 4 copies of Jane Eyre right here, and it is a book that I didn't read for the first time until I was an adult. This one was never assigned to me in school. It was never in my English courses that I took for my college classes. I don't know why, but when I was in my mid-30s, early 30s, I was given this copy of Jane Eyre. It's very old. I love the way this book is laid out. When I received that copy, I had read it one time, and I read it in a version of, it was like a Reader's Digest version book, and I think it was abridged, because when I read this one, it was a completely different story. When is this one published? Let me just look. So this one was put out in 1943. It's just something about it that absolutely captured my heart, and I reread it pretty much every year as well. I think I've read Dune more than 13 times. I just have lost count. But this one I have read every year pretty much. I think I was 36, maybe 35 or 36 the first time I read Jane Eyre. Isn't that sad? I'm so excited for people that have read it earlier than me. If I had one book that I could re-experience again for the first time, it's gonna be hard to pick from these 10, because yeah, these are pretty special for me. And then way up here, I didn't get these out ahead of time, people. Sorry. Way up here, I actually have 3 copies of this as well. And this is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I read Persuasion for the first time when I was about 20, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I came back to Persuasion, and I fell in love with this girl and quickly became somebody that I deeply, deeply respected in so many ways. And I understood in a completely different way than I did when I was 20. And so I reread Persuasion fairly often too. I couldn't tell you how many times I've been through it. Another one. Next one. What are we on? 4? A Wrinkle in Time. I read this for the first time when I was probably 8 or 9, and maybe 8 or 9, and I left it for a long, long time. I started homeschooling my kids. I read it out loud to them, and then they decided they really wanted to read it on their own, and I asked them individually what it was about it that they liked afterward, and their answers made me want to reread it again myself, just for myself, not for school. And I have read it pretty much every fall season since then. I remember when I was 8 or 9, when I read it for the first time, I felt so much like this main character. She just felt so relatable to me. And so I don't know why it took me so long to come back to it, but nonetheless, I did come back to it. It is now one of my most reread books. Another one. Oh, I have to get up again. Nickleby by Charles Dickens. This is my favorite Dickens. I love this Dickens. It's a big one, so most of his are. But this story for me has everything that is wonderful about Dickens. So this is another one, and I reread this fairly often, not quite as often as some of the other ones on this list, but I have read it probably maybe 4 times and I'm about ready to read it again. Another one, this is Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. And I love these stories. Now, this is technically not a novel, but I'm going to call it one because these stories are not printed individually anywhere else, and they all relate to one another. So even though you can see kind of short stories, they're all about the same people, they're all about the same time period, and it is an absolutely wonderful Bradbury. Redwall, man, I really didn't think this through. Do I? Yes. Okay. Sorry. Redwall by Brian Jacques. So I read this for the first time with my kids when they were in school as well. This little mouse down here in the corner, this is Matthias. This is the beginning. It's not the beginning as far as like the first occurrence in the series, but it's the beginning as far as the first book that he wrote in the series. This is Redwall, the book. And I have reread this so many times because I absolutely love this little mouse, Matthias. And in fact, when my kids were little and we were reading this, if I would have gotten pregnant again and we would have had a boy, his name would have been Matthias. That's how much I loved this mouse. There's so many good things about this book. I cannot express about the whole series, but especially about this one, that I just can't express that people should read this and that their kids should read this. It's fun, it's adventurous, there is lots of food, friendships and found family. It's fabulous. I love this book. All right, and then another one that I hauled recently, or I would not have it with me, is, I'm going to show you the inside, The Little Prince. And this is by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And let's see if I can find a title page so that you can, there you go. So this copy is a little bit beat up, but it was very inexpensive. But The Little Prince is another one of those that I have read aloud. I have read to myself. I give it away on a regular basis because my nice copies I keep, but anything that I pick up that is extra on top of, like, I have a pop-up book of The Little Prince, and I have a like a folio society version of The Little Prince. But ones like this, I always pick up when I see them because I want people to read this book. It's basically a book about keeping a childlike heart, keeping a heart that is open to so much in life. It's just beautiful. It is wonderful. And it kind of convicts you about being an adult or being too adult. And lastly, which I also don't have over here, so just a moment. All right. Lastly, and I also have a, what do you call it? Honorable mention. Lastly would be this book here. This is Calvin Miller's The Singer. It's The Singer, the Song, and the Finale, but all in one volume. But The Singer is the one that I have reread the most out of here. And it has long form poetry style writing. Here, I'll show you. So this is what it looks like. And it's basically the story of creation and more, but it's basically the story of creation in long form poetry in a way that makes it so accessible and beautiful to read. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But this one, and then my honorable mention is one that I probably could put several in the honorable mention category because I think I've read others just as many times as I've read this. But it's a book that I pick up whenever I need to be reminded of being kind and generous, deserving or not, and to take care of the poor, not turn people away who are reaching out, who are in need. So this is Chasing Francis by Ian Morgan Cron. And this is about a young man who is a pastor of a church who is kind of having a crisis of faith. And he has an uncle who is a Franciscan monk, and his uncle is about ready to go on a pilgrimage. And the man's name is Chase, and he's going on a pilgrimage like St. Francis of Assisi and a walk, and his uncle invites him to join him and just kind of it's basically a travel memoir of what he sees, what he does, and all of that, and then returning and how life changes for him when he returns. And I don't know if you recognize this name or not. Ian Morgan Cron also wrote a book about the Enneagram. I read this way before. So I read this for the first time in 2006. I don't think I heard anything about Enneagram until like maybe 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. He has since written a book about the Enneagram, and it is excellent also. The Road Back to You, I think is what that one is called, but we're only talking about novels today. This one really gets my heart when I read it. So wanted to mention that one. Okay, that's it, guys. One of these days I'm going to own Dune instead of having to check it out from the library every time. But it's a big book and it's expensive, and believe it or not a lot of people get rid of it because I never find it at the used bookstores. I never find it at the thrift shops. So yeah, but I don't own a copy as a result of that. So anyway, that's it for me today. I would love to know if you have read any of these, what you think of them, good or bad. That's fine. I don't mind if you don't love the books I love. And I would love to know if there's something here that you would like to read. So talk to me down in the comments, and I will see you in another video very soon, everyone.